Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a special episode of the Yes She Can project. I am joined all the way from America, my very first American guest. Welcome, Samantha. Hello, Samantha.
Hello, thank you for having me. You're my first podcast that I've done in the UK, so we're both on our first cross the pond mission.
Yeah, amazing. So it's so lovely to have you on. We have a wealth of stuff to get through. So let's just start by saying, Samantha, you are a mum, a wife, a business owner. You've got your own corporation called the Sparkle Biz Foundation. You also are a podcaster, you're an author, you're a philanthropist. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, it's a mouthful. Yeah, a philanthropist.
There we go. So can you tell me a bit more about, so let's start at the beginning. You've got a real underpinning for that passion for helping women. Where did all of this stem from?
Well, I'm a 25-year insurance veteran. So I've been in the insurance risk management industry since I was like 18. And when I started in my career, I was always really, kind of gravitating towards women and women-owned businesses. I found that we had a little bit of a different connection. Being a young woman in a very pale, male, and stale industry, as I like to say.
Pale, male, and stale.
Right. It was always really hard to, when I'd walk into a meeting, nobody would take me seriously because I was this young little blonde thing. But women would listen to what I had to say, and I would listen to them. And so I really kind of developed my career and, built my book of business around women-owned businesses, just kind of organically. And then in my 20s, because, building a business wasn't good enough for me. I wanted a little more. I decided I wanted to, do good and serve my community. And so in doing some research, I was not finding what I wanted. And I decided that, like anything with me, if I don't find what I want, I'll figure it out and make it my own.
I'll make it.
Right. So I hooked up with the post office, which had a program called the Dear Santa program, where children would write letters to Santa Claus. And these letters would go into a big vault, if you will. And you could go pick the letters and read about the families that needed help and pick them. And so they would take your fingerprints and your identification and make sure you weren't a psycho, because they would give you these kids, you would have their address. And then you would go and buy what they needed and go deliver it. And so the first year I did it, I picked 2 families, and they were families without dad. Dad, the father figure, was dead, incarcerated, not around. And that kind of just continued to grow and grow into, 13, 14 years later, I was doing 17, 18 families out of my house, and I had women all over my home wrapping gifts, and we'd go deliver the gifts. And it was always single mom families. And that kind of comes from my grandmother, who was a single mom in the 50s. And so like subconsciously, when I was choosing people to help, I was always gravitating towards these women, and I didn't really get it until probably 5-6 years into it. And I thought, oh my God, like this is because my grandma. And so, that program has grown into a full-blown 501c3 nonprofit, which here in the States is an organization that's identified by the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, as a nonprofit. So people can donate money and we can give them a tax donation, which really opened up a lot for us, because then bigger businesses would donate money. We are in our 7th year now. And we have, thank you. We have served over 10,000 plus lives in these last 7 years, and brought in, over $1 million+ and given it all back to the community. So it's pretty cool work.
Yeah. I bet you go to bed at night like so happy.
I do. I'm exhausted, but I'm thrilled with what we're able to accomplish. And it isn't just me. I mean, it's so much bigger than me. I mean, it started with me, but there's so many incredible women and men that are involved in this effort, that it's a big deal, and it's a lot of work all the time for all of us, but it does feel good.
Yeah. So you've got separate arms, if you like, to the foundation. So you've got specifically the business side, where you're helping single mothers to be able to do you help them with like training or funding and things like that to help them start their own businesses?
Yeah, so we have three, it's kind of now morphed into 4 arms. We have the holiday gift drive, which is what we started, which is basically we provide Christmas. We also provide enrichment scholarships throughout the year. So figure you've got a mom who can put food on the table, she can pay rent, but now her son or daughter wants to play basketball and it's $700. And you're like,
Okay.
where am I going to get that money? Well, we come in and provide that. We also provide backpacks in the fall. So this year we're going to do 5,000 backpacks, which is crazy. And then what you're mentioning, our Sparkle Biz is our financial arm. So we provide micro loans and mentorship to single moms that want to start or grow their businesses. And this program was kind of birthed in 2018. And then, you know, obviously with the pandemic and everything else, it got a little sidelined. We ended up formally launching in 2021 and funded our first loan. It was a total success. We were able to provide $10,000 to a single mom that needed some growth capital and also some mentorship with, you know, basic business systems, acumen, just, you know, day-to-day ops. And so we were able to really place, you know, some individuals in some areas that she needed some holes plugged. And it was very successful. In, I believe 15 months, she paid her loan back in full. And yeah, it was like one of those moments that when the last payment came in, I was just sitting at my desk crying because I remember when I started it, everybody told me I was nuts. They were like, this is never going to work. This is crazy. What are you doing? And I thought, I want to do this. I want to take my business mind and my sparkle mind. And there's got to be a way, because I know all these incredible business women that I knew would want to help. And those women were always really responsive and receptive to it. But you know, the masses were like, no way. And so it was crazy. We were about ready to have a big event and fundraise because I wanted to get a fund together that could just consistently dole out money, because fundraising, part of what we do, is like the bane of my existence. It's hard, it's annoying, it's not fun. But if we could just create a chunk of money that would be dedicated to this, it would be great. So we were all ready to go. And then COVID hit. And I thought, oh my God, like the program got shelved. And I thought, no, I'm not going to sit on this. I've worked too hard for this. And so it was my 40th birthday in 2020. And so I started a Facebook fundraiser that was $40 for my 40th birthday. And I raised just over $15,000. And that's how Sparkle Biz was started.
Wow.
And now we've got enough money in the bank to fund 2 full loans if we wanted to. And we've just, you know, my goal is to have, you know, a nice chunk that when the recipients come to us, we, you know, we'll have the funds to do it as much as we want. So it's like
a regular rolling thing that you can dip in and out of.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we've started it, it works. And now we're ready to go into our round 2 and round 3 funding.
Amazing. So do you think that was quite an organic experience, the way that arm of Sparkle kind of came about? Were you seeing a lot of families and a lot of ladies that you were helping? Were you seeing potential in them and knowing that, you know, that there was a way that they could go with some extra help?
I think, you know, being a businesswoman and being around other business women or women that were struggling, I knew that there was definitely a need for it. I knew that the traditional methods of getting financing, like especially here in the States, if you don't have good credit or you don't have a lot to show for yourself financially on paper, it's really hard to get money, and or it's expensive. So a lot of these, you know, microloans are 22, 25% interest. And who wants to do that? You know, if you're trying to get up and running. And the idea wasn't to give $100,000. It was to give $5,000 to $15,000. They're smaller amounts. They're more palatable. And, you know, it was an interest only or interest free situation. So we wanted to give the money. We didn't want to have any strings attached, and we're not here to make money off of you. We really genuinely want you to succeed. That's why the mentorship's there. But I knew, after speaking to many of the advisors who I brought in, that if we just gave out grants and gave out money, there was no skin in the game for success. Exactly. So that's why the payback part of it made sense, because then there was some skin in the game and some accountability, not only for us to make sure that she could cross the finish line, but for the recipient to make sure that they could pay us back so that then we could take those funds and go and fund someone else. So the organic part of what the development of the idea, but the execution, I mean, it was hard. It was a lot of research. a lot of different things to manage, details, roadblocks. And I think as of all the things I've done with Sparkle, it's been the most rewarding, but it's been the most it's the hardest one I've done.
Okay. But you think about it though, Samantha, you imagine like, say, 5-10 years time, these women that you've been helping will be coming back and being in your situation, being able to help like the next generation. So it's really an exciting cycle to be a part of, I bet.
It's huge. It's huge. And we see it a lot with our Christmas recipients. So we'll have a family that will assist, and then they will come back in the next year and either maybe nominate another family or be there wrapping gifts and go deliver because they remember what we did for them. I mean, I've been doing the Christmas thing for this is my 20th year. So a lot of these families we've seen, come back and help with their children. And it's been, I think that part of it definitely is the full circle, and it is, it's the coolest feeling. It really is. But yeah,
I can't helping generation after generation.
Yes,
it's just amazing. No, even 100 years time, everyone's going to be sitting there talking about, oh, do you remember when Samantha started this? You're creating a legacy, but not just for you. It just makes me so happy, honestly.
It's good. It feels good, and I think I talk about it all the time. The ability to bring others along with me is, I think, the coolest part, because so many people know, like, they want to do good, they don't know how to do good, or maybe they don't have any money, but they have their time. And so to be able to give people an opportunity to donate their time, their treasure, their skill set. I mean, that is so cool. And to do it with them. I mean, we do it together. I will always say it's 5% me and 95% everyone else. Like, I will run with the torch in the front and light the world on fire, but
you'll be moving everyone out the way.
I will park the waters, but it's everybody that gets together to do it, because it all works because we all do it together.
Yeah, but from, seeing it from an outsider's point of view, without you that started it, you're paving the way for other people. It's just amazing. You need one of those Hollywood stars.
No. I'll take my little nonprofit star. I like it. No, I mean, it is good. And I think having daughters too, and seeing a lot of their friends. I mean, my kids are 10 and 12. So I've got 2 young girls, and they've known nothing but this life because, they're my best assistants, right? If there's something to do, they're going to do it. And to see them, kind of step in and be able to, make an assembly line of gifts, or, they know how to do this or how to set up volunteer. I mean, they know how to do all these things. And it's, I think, such a great lesson for them to also see the way the rest of the world lives, because it's not always glamorous. And it's not always like super like desolate either. I mean, people that can get by, but there's no extra. And so just to be able to provide that extra is a great service to many.
Yeah. So let's talk about your book as well, because you're also an author. Where do you find the time? So where did the inspiration from your book come from? And can you tell us what it's about?
Yes. So my book is called Impact, and it's stories of change makers, basically ordinary women doing extraordinary work. And it was a COVID project. So when we're sitting at home, licking our wounds, feeling sorry for ourselves. I live in California most of the time. And we were really locked down for a long time. And so what I did is I was turning 40, and I was really reflecting a lot on, things I wanted to do. Writing a book was one of them, but then also really realizing who I am is only because of all of these amazing women that have been around me, promoting or supporting or leading, or even maybe telling me, hey girl, what are you doing? Stop it, do this, right? And so what I started doing was it was Women's Month, March 20.
Yeah.
And I started doing a post on Facebook. Every day I would post a little story with a photograph of a woman in my life and why she was amazing, whether it was my grandmother, my mother, my friends, colleagues, mentors. And what this was growing into was like, by middle of month, I was like, holy smokes, I think this could be the book. So what I did is I wrote 30 or so different profiles, and I reached out to a book editor and I said, here's what I'm thinking. could we do this? And they loved the project. And so they took it on, and what they are ended up being, I believe it's 25 stories. And we had a artist hand draw all the women. So everybody's got their own like artist character of them. And then, just a quick little paragraph. So it's a quick, fun little table book. It's nothing, it's not novel, but it's just basically incredible stories of these women and why they're so significant and special. And it was kind of like my love letters to these gals to say, thank you. Thank you for pushing me along all these crazy 40 years.
I think it's so, I think people talk about women supporting women a lot. It's like, a buzz conversation, but I think that feeling that you get when you have that experience is like no other. It's almost like this like hidden power and strength, isn't it? You can feel the energy. It's incredible.
It was crazy. So when I had the book launch, it was November 21. I finally did it. And it was like, we were all just kind of coming out of our houses again. And it was like, if you've ever seen a Marvel movie and you have the Avengers and they assemble, it was like that. I had all of them, I think, but 3 women that couldn't make it, but they were all there in this room, all of these incredible women, and it was like, it felt like this like superpower of just awesome. I have a photograph of it, and it's like I have it on my desk, and every time I see it, I think, God, like I am so lucky to know these women, to stand in company with them. They're incredible.
As are you. And they say the exact same thing about you.
They may.
So continuing the theme of it, I mean, to anybody who would do any research about you, find out about you, there is a constant theme of wanting to support other people. So I'm guessing it would only seem natural for you to go ahead and do a podcast. So that's called Inspired.
Yes. Yeah. And so that was another COVID baby. My girlfriend and I, Stacy, we were sitting around one day, and I was like, we know all these amazing women, and they're so cool, and our friends are so awesome. And we were just kind of talking, and we thought, well, hey, maybe we should start a podcast. Neither of us knew what we were doing, right? I knew how to like Zoom. I knew we needed microphones, and like away we went. And so it first started off with just us basically telling the stories of everyday women that get up and do more than just breathe. And because unless you're rich and famous or have a huge platform, many times your stories don't get told, and women everywhere are badass. Like they're doing incredible things that no one's talking about. And it's like, let's talk about it. So we started off, and it was, just friends. And then it's kind of morphed into this crazy thing. We've interviewed, I believe, over 150 women. They're 30-minute episodes. We still don't edit, mainly because originally we didn't know how, and nobody had time to learn. But then what was more importantly was like, life isn't edited. So why should these conversations be edited? And so it's real, it's raw. We swear, we cry, we laugh, we giggle. And it's been a great, fun journey. And as you know, like a podcast is a lot of work. It's scheduling, it's, uploads, it's this, it's that, but it's something that her and I both are very passionate about. And, we get really excited.
That when you're listening to the episodes as well, though, you can totally tell how close you two are, but then you can totally tell like your awe almost at the women that you have on. And I think sometimes with podcasts, it can tend to be like, it can be a bit scripted, or it can be a bit, you can tell when it's been edited highly. Like in mine, for example, I've had kids running in with nosebleeds. Like it's got to be real for it to resonate with people, I think.
Well, I think anybody can have a podcast. That's one of the beauties of podcasting, but also like, allowing someone to share their story their way, I think is the coolest. And learning about women and their journeys. They're not like these straight lines. They're these crazy, windy, like, so many gals have fallen down and like not known how to get up, and really had to pick themselves up, or had a tragedy occur that really forced them into, hey, I got to do this, or hey, I got to do that. And also like women just like waking up and saying like, I'm not going to do this anymore. Like I'm going to go do something totally crazy different. Like take off and travel the world, or move across the globe, or quit my high paying job because I want to make scarves, like crazy stuff that 9 out of 10 times works. And that one time it doesn't, they'll figure out something to make it make sense for them.
Definitely. And it's about having those conversations for people that perhaps in their own life don't have that support or that inspiration almost. If they've heard somebody else has gone through the same thing in that particular situation, like you were saying, it gives them that kind of, it gives almost like a hug, as if to say, do you know what, go on, just try it. And I think that's what we need.
We all do. We actually interviewed this woman. Her show just aired last week, and her name was Liz, and she has this company called The Working Daughter. And her idea was that, there's this place where you've got women with children they're still taking care of, and then aging parents. And so it's that whole sandwich generation, but no one's ever thinking about the daughter who still has to carry a job, be a mom, do all these things, and now take care of her mom or father who, needs her, because a lot of times it does fall on the females of the family to take care of the elders. And it was this crazy conversation. And she's built this like very successful Facebook kind of group, and wrote a book, and she does talks just to really let women know, like, hey, you're not alone. And I mean, it's one of those things like we all have to deal with at some point, but we're not talking about because we're not going through it or we're not thinking about it. But she had some great insight, and like she has another big girl job where she works, 80 hours a week. And this is just something that she's super into because she was that woman and there was no resources. So she made it.
Yeah, I think that's what it's all about. It's about just keeping those open conversations to make people feel like they're not by themselves, because I think it can be so difficult when you've got, challenging things in your life. And I think sometimes we as women don't feel that we're able to be open in those difficult situations, because a lot of us are just so used to, you keep your head down, you get on with it, and anything else that comes, you just kind of deal with it. But, and we do, because we're strong, aren't we? But I think to have other people going through the same situation is beyond amazing.
Well, I think women can connect if, we go back to that connective nature that we have. That when I see someone going through something that maybe I've gone through, or learning something, going through, a business situation or something, like I'm so excited to lend a hand, help out, provide some advice, or just let a sister know, like, hey, you know what, like, it's not supposed to be this hard. And here's a couple things that I did to help myself out. We as women are, as you said, like, we're programmed to not need help. We can do it all. Like, but sometimes, guess what? We can't do it all. And we need a little help. And it's okay to ask for it, because there's your girlfriend next to you who's like, hell yeah, let me help you. Let me help a sister out. We love it. We love to help each other.
Definitely. Absolutely. So say, Samantha, you were looking at, say we're having a conversation about all of these amazing things that you're doing. What would you say has been the biggest challenges for you so far?
Myself.
Really?
No, I mean, I don't want to say, I will say myself, I bite off a lot. And sometimes it's been a big bite to chew. And so with that, it's, it's been a journey of learning. And like I said, it's been 20 years at the game. So I'm finally at a place where I'm like, okay, like, I know this works. I know this doesn't work. I know this is the way that this should go, or, I know the things I can plan for. And of course, there'll always be some curveballs. I always love the word balance, because everyone's like, well, how do you find balance? And I'm like, hey, here's a little snapshot. There is no balance. Okay. Life is a mess all the time. No. And different days get different buckets of you and your energy, and whether that's mom or wife or, friend or sparkle or insurance. I mean, there's so many different parts to me. So I think the hardest part, for me has always been trying to really figure out how I wanted to spend my energy, so I wasn't depleted or not happy or not getting the results that I wanted. So that part, I think, has been my biggest challenge. Have I figured it out yet? No.
Do you think you ever will? Maybe not.
I mean, will we ever? Some days I'll just walk away and be like, you know what, I'm not doing it today. I'm not in the mood. I'm not doing it. And I think, COVID, that the moment of break that we all were forced to take, I think really shed a lot of light on how we all wanted to live moving forward, how we wanted to work, how we wanted to, allocate our time buckets. And so I think emerging from that moment, because I really feel like this year, maybe the latter part of last year, we all kind of felt like, okay, we're back, right?
Yeah. It's okay now, normality is, I think, here.
And it's been interesting. Like, we have recently purchased a house across the country. So I'm in San Francisco 90% of my time. And then we have this house in Florida that we're trying to figure out. Thank you. Yeah. So it's been a great summer situation, but like, I would have never in a million years been like, I could be here and be there and work and do all the things. And you know what? I was like, we're going to figure this out. And I think the whole working at home, working differently, we were allowed to have a different lens with that idea. So I don't know. I may be out of my mind. Who knows?
No, I think it sounds like a great idea. It's just something else to balance, isn't it? But it might tip the scales in your favor to make you feel a bit more, well, actually that could be kind of my getaway in a sense.
Well, I think how you want to balance yourself, if you will, there's that word again. I can say I can work this way, and this makes me then able to spend time with my kids or go to the beach or do the things that I actually want to do versus running around, running myself ragged, because we all are guilty as charged. And you get to a place where you're just like, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do that because I'm not good to myself. I'm not good to my environment around me. And I don't feel like it gets the best energy of me when I'm going that route. So it's nice to kind of define how we want to run our lives. And I think that may come as we get older. Like, I'm 42 now, and 22-year-old me would have never thought, like, I could say, no, I'm not doing that. I would do everything. Now I'm like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to. I don't enjoy it. I don't, no, it's not serving me in that way. So I think it's the grown-up gal that comes out of us.
I think it's such an interesting period of life, though, don't you? Like late 30s, early 40s. It's very much like, almost like, because everything seems to have happened so fast, since we were teenagers up until now. It's almost like now this is where we're truly finding out who we actually are, what is really important, and what we're all about. Because I think you spend so long kind of doing life in a way and getting through the best you can. It's only when we've had this time to step back, especially with COVID, we've really learned a lot about what makes us tick and what we're all about.
Well, I think as mothers, when you're having children and they're young, I mean, that's your full focus. Okay. It's kids, totally. It's running, it's this, it's that. And my girls are now 10 and 12, so they're not going to die. They can eat. They know how to they can take a shower. They can, they have their phones. They can get where they need to go. And I think that it wasn't till probably 2 years ago that I really started to kind of rediscover this old girl here.
Yeah.
Old, thank you. Yeah, I can go for a walk, or I can go work out in the morning because I can do it. And I think it's really interesting. So something interesting happened. So we bought this house in the beginning of the year, January. And my husband was here for a couple months, he was here for a couple weeks getting some work done. And then I had to come and kind of oversee, we were having some work done. So I was gone for 5 weeks, which I'd never been anywhere for 5 weeks, let alone away from my family or any normal life. And the first week I just was kind of doing the same stuff. And by week 2, I remember I was sitting on the beach. It was 4 o'clock this, time here on the East Coast. And I was like, you know what? For the last 20 plus years, I have gotten up every single day and done something for someone other than myself first, whether it was my husband, my children, my employees, my family, whatever. And for the first time in my entire life, I didn't have to do anything except whatever I wanted to
Be
do,
you.
which was like insane because I mean, like taking that time, I mean, that's not a feasible, like it was like the golden ticket from Willy Wonka. I mean, come on, like who is ever going to have that happen? But I relished in it. I was like, after the 2 weeks, I was like, this is fantastic. And then by, the week, I think it was 4, like the kids came down for spring break, and within 48 hours, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm done. All right. I want to go back to being me and eating dinner at 10 o'clock at night and going and walking the beach every day. But the moral of the story was that like, it took that moment for me to really define and like realize like, wow, it's okay to like do me and focus on me. And, and it's not a negative thing.
It's a healthy thing, isn't it? Because like you were saying before, and unless you feel like you are looked after, then you're in no position to look after other people anyway, and you're just expelling that negativity,
well, you're just going through the motions. You're literally just going through the motions. You're waking up. It's a Groundhog Day every day. And, they do say you got to put your oxygen mask on yourself before you can put it on somebody else, which, we always hear it on the airplane, but it's the truth, I think. And sometimes, for many of us mothers that had to go through like the COVID, and we were schooling our kids, and we were making breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and nobody was going anywhere. We were constantly doing all these things. I mean, it was such a stressful time. It was a great time because it allowed us to really reflect, but it was also really freaking stressful. And we didn't know if we were going to die or like what was going on. It's a world ending. And so I think that like all that, it was almost like battering us, just so much wind in our face.
And I think the pressure though on us as parents to not have the answers, that's something that I really struggled with, because normally your kids come to you. So mine are 19 and 10. Normally they come to you, and you give them the answers. You're able to in any situation really, but this was really different because we didn't know either, did we?
We had no idea. I remember sitting there looking at my husband one day, and I'm wiping down the groceries, and I've got gloves, and I'm going to the market. Was like such a stressful. I mean, it was terrifying to go outside. And I remember just looking at him, and we both were just like, it was fear. It was no information. It was too much. And then we look over, and we've got these little girls, and they're like, thank God they had each other and they could, keep each other active. But it was so, I wouldn't wish that moment on anybody. It was so scary for the world,
Yeah, definitely.
But, what was cool was what we were dealing with at home was the one thing that I know makes me feel really good is helping other people. So what we did is I had a ton of clients in town that had businesses or products that were not moving because obviously businesses were shut down. We had hair salons, we had beauty stores. And so what they were doing was they had said, hey, if we gift you this product, can you get it out? And I thought, yes, we can. So what we started doing was we started doing gratitude boxes, and it was a total shift for Sparkle because we weren't doing any enrichment scholarships or, nothing was going on. So we made 1,000 boxes the first probably 3 months. We did nurses and we did teachers and we did first responders. And then that program has kind of grown, and we've continued it on over the last few years. And so we've done law enforcement, firefighters, women-owned businesses that were first first responders or essential workers. So that part of the sadness was actually cool because we were able to create goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
And that helped to get me through a lot of those tough times.
Definitely. So what is the goal, Samantha? What's the big master plan?
My big crazy goal in life would be to have Sparkle chapters all over the world, because there are, single mothers everywhere. But then that's also finding boots on the ground and organizing. And it's a lot of work. I mean, right now we have 3 chapters. We have Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Sacramento. So we're California based. So, I mean, I think I would like to see that grow. I think I would, continue bringing in more volunteers and children and finding, finding other people that can kind of take on these more higher level roles, I think within the organization would be great, because then I can expand and do other things within, growth and those things. But I think, just living a life of purpose has always been my main goal in life. And I'll continue to do it as long as I can.
Yeah, well, there was no, like, normally when you ask somebody like what their goal is, it's like, right, I want to retire at this age, this, that, and the other. I see no signs of that from you in the next 60 years.
No. I mean, I'm definitely still engaged in the experience of Sparkle and what we're doing and growing. Yeah. And being that it's been so long that we've been doing, I mean, it's almost just a part of my existence, as it is my family's.
It's a part of you, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think about like what life would be like without it. And I'm like, I don't know that life. I don't know what that life is. Insurance and my career, I've definitely kind of taken, I still do insurance. I still sell, but it's definitely maybe 15 to 20% of my day, or my week. Most of my time is going towards the things that I'm really, enjoying. Podcasting, sparkling. Yeah. So
I think it's wonderful to be able to find something, but in such a huge way like you have, because a lot of us women in business, it starts from a passion, and it's exactly the same for you, but this is like huge. But your first boots on the ground in the UK are right here.
Girl, I got you.
I have my boots on the ground for you. I can't wait to see, honestly, I cannot wait to see how far your reach goes with this, because it's what everybody needs in every country.
I do believe that too. I do believe it's on my list. UK, Europe, the whole bit. It's definitely set big goals,
Definitely. So how can people find out more about you and all of the amazing work that you do?
So I made it really easy. SamanthaTradelius.com is a website that is my name, and it has all the things. So you can find Sparkle Biz, you can find podcasts, my book. I also do a monthly blog where I focus on 3 she brands, which are lady owned companies making products for us ladies.
Yes, sorry, I forgot to ask you about that.
So it's like one of those things where every month I'm like, should I keep doing it? And then I, get my results back from my newsletter. I'm like 78% open rate. Okay, I'm going to keep doing it. People love it. And I don't get paid to talk about these brands. They're just things I really love. They're cool. And they're like little must-have moments. So yeah, that's all there too. But yeah, SamanthaTradelius.com.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So to any of our listeners, I would urge you to go over and check out the website. I will put the links in the bottom for everybody to find out. And yeah, an absolute pleasure to chat to you, Samantha. Thank you so much for coming on. And I cannot wait to see what happens next.
You're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.